Welcome to the lovely IHP paid and free subscriber community, to those who love to inspire each other by being in our emotional invincibility. And so with your ventral vagal state, your prefrontal cortex, I get to spotlight higher self, mindset, lifestyle, points of views, ideas, and stories, and you get to come and have a good time. And if you become a paid subscriber, add to your inner growth mindset lifestyle routine. And with our TikTok lives, you also get to hear some more about spotlights for higher self, mindset, lifestyle, points of views, and stories. And we will have subscriber paid option there at some point. So if you're new, am a 5D mystic, spiritual, self-help, mindful, living and loving person, mentor, content creator, and podcast host. And I share the daily life of mine and human, spiritual, and spirituality elements. I'm also attachment trauma educated. Okay, so with the TikTok, it's very informal, very chit-chatty. We had our first one today. I shared the link to the TikTok community members for lives, and so you can expect that to take place. And on YouTube, we will potentially have lives here too. So I'll keep you posted. Just in case you're curious, on TikTok, we discussed what we have been looking at on YouTube and our mediocre people, the emotionally immature ones, those who are acting like they know everything. Okay, so what you will find on YouTube our past week. Also about my chapter, so a little bit about how God is discerning equanimous love, the chapters in the book that I'm a co-author of, The Ways to God. And it is now available for ebook order, paperback, and hardcover. And again, you can become a subscriber on TikTok. For now, the lives are free, but there's going to be a subscriber option that I will look into as I'm working on the channel, because I had left it a little bit since I don't know if I always have access to it. And you can also notice when Patreon will be made available. I've made all podcasts from the Spotify podcast and other podcast platforms IHP's on for paid Patreon members. So you can support IHP, which is, again, where I get to share with you the keys to the growth, following your heart, and how human evolution, consciousness, and being yourself is amazing. We look at sciences and spirituality together and how they reveal how we access our infinite higher human conscious potential, because with the ventral vagal state, so you're in your prefrontal, an integrated brain, you're ready for spiritual growth, personal development, and you are enjoying that which is mental, emotional, and physical mastery. As an Akashic record reader, when I read those words, I was like, that's pretty cool. So an empowered feminine knows where she's at with her spiritual mystic journey. And with that being said, we also will look at perspectives and stories from my self-empowered, enlightening, mystic, spiritual, mindful journey with my oversoul. And clairs don't confuse anyone. They're like spiritual gifts. Prophets and gurus are one and in the same. Expert yogis, one and the same. And anima mundi is where we accept all, reject none. So our spiritual, religious stories are all in the melting pot. Science, melting pot. That's why I'm woo-woo sort of science lady. I support securely attached, self-led, mystic, spiritual, and mindful, living, loving people who want to integrate in their daily practices, because we're creatures of habit, the inner growth mindset. So again, you become a paid subscriber. The link is below. If you're on YouTube, if you're hearing me, you go to the main page. For TikTok, you can go follow. We don't have anything paid just yet, but there will be in time. And Patreon, I'm waiting to organize that to share it with you as well. So let's get with some mindfulness, educational podcasts, and being yourself stories. And remember, inconsistencies, they are fear of intimacy, emotional vulnerability, and fear of being oneself in connection. Not Lucifer, not demons attached to anybody. No kind of low frequency actually will attach to you unless you are a 3D, 4D brother or sister, because those spiritual bypassers, savior complex, and exactly who ignores going to get EMDR, child parts work, and somatics so that they can own aliveness in their body and actually do the thing that is honor their inner child. Okay, so I love myself first. I get to be myself and let you know that, as Patrick Chan points out, we have parents who did the best they could. People who are doing the best they could. Mediocre. Yeah, mediocre is not doing the best they could. What they're doing is avoiding the responsibility and emotional labor of being their true self. So they're ignoring becoming whatever their human name is. I bring the human elements to the spiritual and spirituality elements. Science proves what God told me already. My brothers and sisters can all choose kindness. And thanks to Patrick Tiahan, they can do that. And thanks to Terry Real, they're good therapists. So you don't actually have the capacity to live abundance and raise your vibration or manifest if you are still with childhood trauma. But you can manifest money. Plenty of them do. But what I'm saying is you won't be able to feel that love, L-O-V-E. L is for the way you look at me, right? Oh, so you won't be in your oxytocin gene hormone because you're not using the inner growth mindset. You might be having, not you, but those who suffer, like this Zen master who tells you that it's impossible for anybody to be in enlightenment because he has laundry. Yeah, he has laundry because he doesn't know how to use his prefrontal cortex. Welcome sensations, images, behaviors, affects, emotions, meaning, the window of tolerance. He's not doing anything. We do the workout, and that's because, again, securely attached, self-worth people who are empowered know. Let me grab something that way can help you understand in case you're new. That when you are integrating into your day-to-day the 3-minute or 5-minute or 15-minute practices, you are already dealing with unknowns, uncertainties, and unwanteds with an open heart while going with the flow, the main modules of the Inner Growth Mindset program. It's an online course that I created a while back. You find the 3 main modules for free of the beginners, intermediate, and advanced on inspiringhumanpotential.com website. Okay, so the beginners is on Udemy, but it might be hidden. But that's where, as I was saying, when you put into practice inner growth mindset, it's because you're also welcoming mindfulness. So you can focus attention in your prefrontal in the maximum uncertainty and awareness. You're immediately able to bring in kind intention, compassion towards yourself and others. And so with mindset skills, sifting your sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts, because you have access to your body, that's why you, like Peter Levine will say, you can contain it. And no, you don't have demons coming out of you when you do yoga. What you have are trauma charges stored in bones, muscles, and tissues. So we all have basic trauma charges, but the securely attached, non-traumatized people that are self-led like I am are for the 5D mystic, spiritual, mindful, living, loving people who inspire infinite higher human conscious potential because you're doing it. And you're not, I went there, I went like now. They're not doing any of that. And the muscle of, whether you want to call it the virtue muscle, ethic muscle, moral muscle, integrity muscle, what you're really doing is recalibrating. So it's called, I differentiate. I'm in my prefrontal. I am aware that in front of me I might have a biologically rude bunch of people. I don't get immature and mediocre like they are. They want love or pats on the back, and I'm not in their in or out group. I'm in one group. It's called humanity. And no Lucifer in any one of my brothers or sisters. Simply put, either they have states of selves or they have some stuff going down, which is very unfortunate. And by being able to be in my ventral vagal state, I attune, because I'm a guitar string, so are they, in the entire room. I don't get affected. There's no energy, vampire, dark aura, or attached entity anywhere. There's simply put nervous systems of my brothers and sisters who are in fear in their bodies, like this. So I differentiate, as Dr. Daniel Siegel gave me that tidbit. Then, as I'm resonating, because I didn't judge the entire room, because I'm a healthy self-worth person who learned from Jesus, don't judge or cast a stone, don't worry God. Yes, I love and forgive my brothers and sisters. And so, by being in a room with neutrality and duality, which is healthy self-worth, Dr. Daniel Fox, as he points out, we have we don't do characterological distinctions. When you get sloppy with your biologically rude, maladaptive behavior because you have bad manners due to being raised by people who raised you with bad manners. So dysregulated nervous systems all have bad manners. They don't know how to harness anger, sadness, and fear in a way of an emotionally, mentally, physically mature person. And so they want to project. No, they do project, like Cusco. And they become an exact Cusco or a squirrel from the Emperor's New Groove or their Diego's family. So they want in and out group stories, which is why they call themselves things like enlightenment, soul age group, or mystics, or spiritual, or twin flame group, or the emotionally invincible group. If you meet anyone who's emotionally invincible, they're going to always have a smile on their face. And even when they're frowning, they're smiling because they don't avoid the responsibility of their emotional labor and the responsibility of being a integrated brain human being, because why would we not allow our body to do what it's naturally doing already? Decentralized self and or decentralizing, and I think I've been saying it wrong, but the book Patrick McNamara. I know all about it. So we handle change with good stress thanks to daily mindset with mindfulness and mindsight skills and the inner growth mindset paid content, okay? Inner stillness grows. You're grounding yourself in your ventral vagal state and you raise your frequency. It's not a lie because you know how to consistently breathe. And in addition to parents avoiding their responsibility and emotional labor of their job, thank you, Patrick Tan, I share there are numerous people and mystics and spiritual bypassers and savior complex and anyone who's mean to my brothers and sisters so they don't have patience with the poor children who got treated like pieces of shit. And I sometimes will also be very frustrated, but God keeps chiming in and letting me know not to judge human suffering a waste of my fucking time, which I understand, which is why Buddha makes fun of me, why Jesus is proud of me. And I say thank you so much for the emotional, mental, and physically intelligent and mature human beings in my life that I get to be surrounded with as I inspire human potential by spotlighting higher self mindset, lifestyle, points of views, stories, ideas, and practices, and podcasts. Actual smart human beings, not the fakos who are mediocre and emotionally immature. So the ones who are not securely attached, who are not healing themselves with good therapists, who are avoiding their job and emotional labor, because work on yourself to become actual first yourself, and then you don't change yourself anymore, you just improve. I mean, improvement, it's a point of view. I'm flawed and imperfect, so I expand myself. And then we know that some people will like us and some people won't, and that's why I'm going to do good enough to be saluted. I love all people equally, but my 14-month-old doesn't want to hang around ignorance because stereotypes and generalizations and anyone who's negative is going to slow me down. I like successful entrepreneurs who build each other up and who spot that which needs to be filled, not because it's a problem or it's broken, no, because there's a spot. We see a spot. Oh, look, there's that golden nugget from that 4D person over there. Hey, look, we put it right here. Oh, look, our puzzle. Oh, wow, this is amazing. Hey, do you want to join us? Oh, you don't like us because we're all doing it together. I'm so not... Yeah, let's leave it alone. We'll leave it alone. You can come if you want, but nope, you can't make it into... No, sorry, you can't draw lines like this. So we love that it's a whole new world, a magic place. Yes, humans, we evolve. Consciousness consistently expands. God always wins. And as Patrick Tan points out, he shares how it works. The more people avoid feelings, the more those feelings run us. And he's a childhood trauma survivor who always says healed and healing. So let me pause for a minute. I'm going to finish one thing, read to you another, and then we're going to close it on out. So, those who are spiritual bypassers, savior complex, anybody who's still telling you there's demons and attached figures and whatever are the 3D, 4D community. I knew that they wouldn't move into our 5D community because I was told that from a lot of different from a lot of different sources that I read. And as I do know, Robert Sapolsky determined, come on in. So he has science, and then there's other scientists that explain what the first 3 years of your life mean. So what I know is that any of my brothers and sisters of fear will not be monsters because, one, they end up in jail, except for the 7 to 14 charming who are not charming to smart human beings. So emotionally invincible, mentally invincible, and stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable people will be here at HP because we do what we do because we don't get run by an unkind inner world because every single one of our brothers and sisters will have had some shit go down. So while they will use their time in a low frequency, which tires them out, they're non-bilaterally integrated, they don't successfully come together as entrepreneurs, as anything. They just like to create small groups. That's why they give golden nuggets. They're doing the best they can at avoiding the responsibility, one, of taking care of their child parts, two, of getting their brain integrated and getting their embodied brain into their ventral vagal state. So as Dr. Amy points out, it's not willpower or, motivation. So you want to understand those who are not able to fix their destructive mindset in 15 minutes, thank you, on Laura LeConf, need somebody like Dr. Amy Apijan so that they can work with their actual body. And then if you have, let's say, ADHD, you want an expert in that with childhood trauma. I have a course on that right now. And or let's say we have states of self, IFS model. So there's experts. I've seen a bunch of people in my courses with very low self-esteem not hear the professor's explanation of what their health is, which is the restorative embodiment. And they will continue to do what they're doing because again, when you have the not so brilliant mind of an ego that is grandiose, you just did the thing that shows me that you're a peacock who's pretending. You are aware of this, right? If I do this, you're going to deflate. I won't do that because that's not my job. Jesus taught me not to, so did God. And, again, the more you avoid the feelings, the more they will run you, keep you in your head, keep you disconnected. Because people who ruminate, they're always in their head. People who are disconnected live pseudo-aliveness thinking that that's fabulous. Death is easier than being in the body. No, actually it's not. It's because you don't know how to be in your ventral vagal state that your body weighs you down. My body is like a feather and I fly on a high all the time, even when I'm sad Zen master. Because emotions last 90 seconds when you're not ruminating and you just have a release because sometimes it's going to come out. It's not a big deal. And so in addition to parents avoiding the responsibility, this is my reframe, and emotional labor of their job, there are numerous people, spiritual bias, mystics, savior complex, use whatever words you want. Basically, adopted child part people is the technical verbiage. So they're living their 0-8-year-old, their subconscious. That's why they're immature. That's why that lady who got interviewed by Nutshell, Therapy in a Nutshell, awesome. She has a program for how you can handle any emotionally immature person. I already do it. And someone chimed in, that sounds tiresome. That person needs help getting their window of tolerance expanded to a window of welcome and knowing, yes, we all have flaws and imperfections. I know I'm annoying to some people just as much as they're annoying to me. That doesn't mean I think it all the time. Because really, didn't anybody know that we would always be annoying to each other, but not in the way of irritating? How old are people? I'm growing older. I just didn't realize that I would have a way to explain why emotionally immature, mediocre people are so petty. And it's even more petty when they think that they can tell you everything about spirit, source, Akash, God. And that's why I'm like, okay, authority, no one's the authority of anything of it all. No one has one truth. It's all subjective experience. Because, thank you, Dr. Amy. What was it? Neuroception is what determines our response to everything in any moment of our life. It's not based on reality, based on one's perception. We need to tell this to the guy who says, I just want people to stop living in a world where they want what feels right. I want what is right. I want facts. I have faith. I'm not about facts. Stupid. Yeah. Sorry. Again, my 3-year-old, she's right here. So this is the function of child adult and what we look like, which is why we're like really annoying as you find out what not securely attached people do. So there's a number of people who stay not securely attached. They don't heal themselves with a good therapist. They avoid totally doing their job to become their whole self. And they do avoid doing emotional labor because it's really hard to think and feel. Then it's not once I'm dead. Then they could say, you know what, I'm going to make it my mission to navigate the waves and surf it. Like Tara Brach teaches you. I've been doing it since I stopped using my other. I remember when I'm like, okay, you know what? You don't have to go here and here. You can actually just stand in the middle. I didn't have the word for it. I just did it because I was like, this is a lot of wasted time. And also it's inconsistency with the love that you and Jesus hold together. Because again, with my Christian Catholic upbringing. And so in a world with children and securely attached, non-traumatized people, we definitely notice our suffering brothers and sisters, and the Zen master who has laundry, and the woman who thinks it's dangerous to have no emotions, and also we notice the Shaolin master who likes to tell people about what the fundamental truth of life is. And I'm like, not for Christian Catholics and not for mystics who are 5D body types like myself, not for the enlightenment soul age group people, mystic, spiritual, or mindful. They might not even use the word. Not for the flow state. Actually, the neuroscientists who are smart know exactly how it feels to be in the same flow state that I do. So our minds work really awesome, and that's why you're going to come back. So you don't actually think it's hard, feel hard, and everyone can take emotional and mental responsibility. Stop projecting and living out their trauma into the world and their relationships, so they could stop basically bringing to us their broken faith in humanity and dehumanizing our brothers and sisters. They can go heal with Patrick Tian their broken faith and rebuild faith in humanity, and therefore they can also get their body to stop scanning if it's safe or not, the default mode network. So it's very straightforward. When people say, that's not that easy, I didn't say it was easy, I said it's possible. That's the only thing. Oh, and also it is about mindset, because although the body is what is in the lead with how you feel, like if you're invigorated or not, like Lisa Feldman Barrett, the brain is running a model of its body. She plays with words because Bessel van der Kolk says the body keeps the score. So she's like, but the brain keeps the count. I love the academics that know what they're talking about. And then I love the people who understand how they're doing in life. And then you get to hear them say, yeah, I don't do the truth, this first one of truth of life, this existence that we're living, that it is connected with suffering. And that's why I and Buddha have a thing going on. Because I'm like, no, Jesus suffered for my sins. And I don't do suffering because also God blessed me with a gift. It's a miracle. So I want to appreciate it. Plus, why would I use any of my time in a suffering state? Marcus Aurelius pointed out to me, like, Maria, why are you doing that? You're going to waste time. If you live in suspicious mind, always thinking everyone is out to get you, you will only do very small things in life. Trust is very important. Thank you, Sadhguru. Yes, so I say, no, this life is not suffering. And he says, then you do not need to follow Buddhism. Yep, I don't actually. Then my journey has never been. I said, why did he sit under a tree? Now I know Buddhism and meditation and yoga, all of it. It helps ventrovagal toning and integration of brain. So you can get ready to be able to be your whole self. But you still need to own the core narrative, soul, and relational self. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel. So the pre-birth challenge sessions, yes, when you have an LBLT and you already knew what you knew, empowered feminines, and you know that we're all source, yeah, you don't describe life with very torturous chamber stuff. The people who describe life with torture makes me very sad for what they began, because their body is basically that. I don't know that. And when I'm described it, I think, thank goodness I'm in the present, because I know that our past ancestor tortured. And I do know some people continue to want to torture each other. And I really don't mind not being one of those unfortunate dark sides of the neuroplasticity mind people, because when someone's getting off of panic attacks, it's disgusting. When someone's getting off of disgusting torture, that's disgusting. So disgust is very clear for a healthy self-worth person. Traumatizing anything is disgusting. And since we're in the era of now and not in caves and our ancestors with ignorance, anybody who's getting off of something disgusting and wants to feel that level of suffering, wow, I want to feel the depth of joy. So you know what, as the Dalai Lama points out, some of us are here to bring forth that frequency, actual love. Others can live in the frequency of fear. And the 4D3D brothers and sisters are continuing to keep it alive, because they talked about entities being attached to people and nightmares being real versus deluded by imagination you are because you need help with the brain, because your fear receptor is going wonky, and therefore your window of tolerance is shooting up the roof, and you might have what is called actual clinical dissociation, pseudo-aliveness, and the need for somebody to support you to get your body into a state of first from dysregulated to modulated to be able to be ready for restorative, as my lovely somatic therapist informed us. So no, not everybody is ready immediately to jump into restorative. They first will get time to be able and learn how to work with someone, not me. So with that being said, I'm attachment trauma educated and I care about my brothers and sisters. They're not demons, they're not monsters, but 3D, 4D, they commit to their stories because they want to be patted on the back like the flat earthers, and they are not securely attached 1-year-olds, so they're not grounded in reality like I am, which is any of my cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable. Thank you, Sam Harris. Love you, God. So spirituality, we don't prove it. Mystics, we don't prove it. Sciences doesn't prove everything anyways, because 97% of what is out there is unavailable for them to discover, to see, to observe. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel. So when you meet smart human beings, they're curious, open, accepting, and loving. And Patrick Tiahan. So he says, childhood trauma work is about returning to the body where we are wholehearted. Yep. And he says, I think, but I can confirm from all my attachment trauma education. And he says, we return wholehearted with our body, our feelings and safety with yourself, and you're integrated. So yes, you're integrated with all your child parts, your nervous system. You're all good to be yourself with flaws. Like Terry Real would point out, you have accepted that somebody can see us crooked. And that's without like too much of upset. It's really when it's a person that you love that points a finger at you and says you're evil, that you will have the capacity to say, no, I'm not, in your head, and leave it alone. Because at that point, I know that your subjective experience, as Dr. Daniel Fox, imagine trusting someone less when they are kind to you. That's what happens when people have abandonment, big fears, and borderline personality disorder potentially. So some people see their relationships as battlefields, not partnerships. They misinterpret neutral situations as hostile and negative. They only spot negative stuff, and when you're positive, they actually don't trust it. So I'm very sad for anyone who actually cringes at ventral energy, because now I know their first 3 years of life were shitty. And only a fool believes that success achieved alone is real. John Amaichi. So yeah, anyone who thinks that we are needing to only be as cold as ice. So let me finish with Patrick Chan. So the runs us. He shares, if you maybe feel like you make uncontrollable bad choices or can't control your reactions, the feelings are most likely running you. Okay, so this is what happens, as he points out. The more you avoid your feelings, the more they want to run you. Number 2, in our heads, he says, if you maybe talk yourself into things and you are disconnected from your truth or pain, you're most likely in your head, dissociated. And then number 3, disconnected, he says, if you maybe don't trust yourself or the inner child doesn't trust the adult you, which is like the same thing, you're most likely not connected with yourself. And then he gives some more examples. 1, keeping relationships going with those who are bad for us and the childhood magical thinking and hope feeling is running you. 2, if you are treated poorly and you make excuses from a codependent headspace and not feeling the pain, sting, insult, or let down from the other person fully. When someone justifies a grown-up who shames children, that is the indication of you not understanding what a grown-up is made of, because a grown-up need not shame anyone. The word shame means something to those who want to keep on using it. I'm going to let you know I don't need to shame you. Because 1, I'm a child of God who understands there's only one God. Out of the sciences, what I can tell you is I don't need to shame you because I don't live with the bears like our ancestors did. What I can do also is be a person who understands what humility means, that we're all flawed and perfect, and I talk to you. So shaming is unnecessary. When people want to shame and think shame is necessary, I'm very clear on who they are. They had brokenness, and therefore they don't trust that their brothers and sisters can learn good manners. I know that my brothers and sisters, if they want, can be aware and can learn good manners. And if it's that challenging, again, imagine someone trusting a kind person less. And imagine it being a bird with a broken wing, as Peter Levine presents. And I'm saying, I can show you a whole new world. I'm kind, I'm loving, you can trust me. And you continue to head towards the cave. So when people don't want to hear that our brothers and sisters who are unkind are the fearful ones, they lack the capacity to hear that which they don't like, which is the shitty human beings out there are not because of a monster from the sky. No, it's because of their homes. Their homes, Homes. I understand why this is very hard, because I'm a family person. My mother, Neapolitan Italian. There's no way in hell you talk shit about family, and that's pretty much, at least across the cultures that I'm from, American Italian, straightforward. So I'm going to say I'm objectively, subjectively able to organize and then say, I know when I see people who want to perpetuate all of that, which is charges. And it's women who want to slap men and think it's okay, men who want to slap women and think it's okay, men and women who want to give checklists to make sure you don't get your fucking fucked over shit. Really, wow. I mean, mediocre people, they're all over the internet besides movies. So it's pretty straightforward when you see people who are stuck on their visceral drama kings, drama queens. They're drug addicts of their drama. And someone who is teaching me says that's disrespectful. And I think you haven't seen the ones who are bountiful in their in and out group stories with their leaders as they talk about people like me, dismantle, make it seem that we cannot have tears because it's propaganda, and call me a predator when I'm a mystic. And there's plenty of therapists who are predators, which is where the words that people choose. It's called weaponizing psycheducation, which is bullshit for an intelligent mind. But it's also, I ain't gonna bother once you've shown me what you're made of. Now I know. And you will be made of one of two. And you will either be a human being who's wholehearted, and therefore I have a person in front of me, humanity, amazing. We're going to expand together. The minute that you get defensive, protective, and you're cold as ice, I got a stick in front of me. I know what to do with sticks. I can stand like one too. And that's it. Do you know the difference between two sides of brain being involved versus only one side is that I'm living life in the most amazing of my heart space, and that the other person is missing out on something called reparenting that child that protected them in their home, not my home. And my planet, our planet, is not a home that will have any of that shitty ass behavior, because the future always wins. The only ones who are afraid of the future not being here are the same ones who don't trust in their own species, which is why, as Albert Einstein points out, we stay away from negative people. Successful entrepreneurs, they find shit all over the place, and they're not fake positive. We just don't want to hang out with the boring ones. They got sticks up their asses. They got a problem for every kind of conversation we have, and they don't notice it. And that's why they're not brilliant. And that's why their destructive mind is an adaptive child part. It's a losing strategy when you have insecure people. Other than that, it's not a losing strategy. It's just a person who, if you are treated poorly again and you justify it, wow, you just allowed shame and guilt from your childhood to take over and for you to justify bad manners. I, on the other hand, will say there's a way that you treat people. I mean, it isn't enough to be saluted. I treated them with decency. I allowed myself not to lie to them by the end of the evening as they're trying to say things. I'm not going to become your friend. For 3 years, I consistently made it clear in a very decent way. I'm not going to yell at you, slap you, insult you. That's unnecessary. I'm not physically being threatened, and I'm not emotionally and mentally immature. I'm not mediocre, and I'm not weak, because I'm not an insecure human being. So a woman who has security does not need to insult another human being, man, woman, or they. Anyone who needs to insult someone doesn't have manners and doesn't have emotional mastery, let alone ego mastery, let alone mental mastery, let alone mastery of anything, because the child parts are ruling you the minute you get in your little self-agent 3-year-old button with a 16-year-old that's acting like a buffoon, because that's all the child parts. So it's not weaponizing. Here I'm giving you an explanation, because weaponizing would be, I'm a healer, how dare you trauma dump? You're a narcissist, you know that? Wow, really? I'm a narcissist, you're an empath. Okay, how many different people can we spot as they create their little groups? Every one of us mystics. You know, we have dark night of the soul and ego deaths because we're anointed. Excuse me, where are you from again? What era did you meet our ancestors? So they dress up in most not amazing ways, because that's where I just found it completely... as I saw people walking around thinking they were Jesus. Now, I got made fun of because I used the word embodied Jesus Buddha a couple of episodes ago, and I'm like, oh, shit, that's going to be taken out of context. And I said, yeah, but by who? The morons, the ones who we're not building a community with. Because again, the ones who are stingy with shit are the ones who will grab something and then completely try to make it look like they look better than another person. So when you're trying to make yourself become better than someone else, you are envious, you are jealous, but not in a way of being constructive, because everyone can use something in a constructive way. If you are using it to construct, then you're going to expand it, and you're going to expand everyone. If you're using it to put yourself on a pedestal, that's why you have low self-esteem, as you don't know how to stand next to your brothers and sisters on the plateau, which means that you don't have sense of self-worth at all. It's from your gut. It's not from your heart. And it's not from here. It's from here. So when people get irritated because they feel small, the therapists have shared with me the stories of a lot of their different patients, and it's very straightforward. So that's why I say therapist is the first stop for anyone who has a low frequency, because you can consistently feel on a high when you're an integrated brain. And the immunity isn't enough to be saluted. The next time I saw them, the reason I looked at them was because they made it very clear that they feel so indecent. It would have been not, for me, it would have been not nice to not look at them. So I acknowledge them, that at least that way I see you. And in fact, their smart-ass attitude said, at least you looked at me. But the point is that in this equation, for me, a smart human being, I'm not right, they're not right. It's a perspective, number one. Number two, you want to ask me clinically, I don't do this shit. I'm a mentor, content creator, podcast host, but you better bet I never met your wife. You've always been out in ways that obnoxiously everyone. You obviously need to reveal to know what healthy self-worth boundaries are because you don't have them. And this person was in the bottom of anxious with desperate manipulation. When you got avoidance who think they're all that, they actually go a whole different way. So when I meet insecurity, it's nothing more than an insecure human being because I'll perceive all of that, which is your low frequency. You're not a monster. You're a poor kid who didn't grow up well, and then you got a teenager who thinks they're badass, and that's why you're not a brilliant mind. You're a stupid one. And you're also one that gets cocky, so not you. But again, it's very clear. If you seek people, places, and things to self-soothe instead of being a good, loving parent to yourself. When people self-soothe in unhealthy ways, it's a very clear one. And so, again, the feelings I'm referencing in this post are everything that happened to us growing up in unsafe families. Thank you, Patrick Tian. Always an honor to share his lovely, smart content, and he is a childhood trauma survivor who is healed, and I always say healing. Here's Joshua Coleman, PhD, as he shares, sometimes when people feel sorrow or worry, it can come out as blame or anger or aggression or labeling. Calling your parent a narcissist is a way to immunize yourself against whatever feelings of obligation that you might feel towards them or worry about them. And this is why Michael Yapko, he, for example, shares most people that are cutting each other out of their lives are really just not learning how to be able to effectively communicate and handle their emotions. There's no need. How much does it take for a person to be someone you completely don't want to be around? And I forget the words he uses, but that's exactly where I've seen people grow more and more ignorant in the years and charged. I'm not interested in hanging around people who are polarized because of political, religious, anything. I'm pro-choice. I can be around people who are pro-life. I am from one end of the spectrum when it comes to politics and ideas of lifestyle, polyamory, monoamory, that I can talk to smart people about all of this and we have a good time. So the smart human beings are not polar opposites. The ones who are choosing to be on polar opposite ends, they are not our business. Life is involvement. Where there is no involvement, there is no life. Thank you, Sadhguru. And I actually wanted to find another couple quotes. This one, the most dangerous person in your life is the one who makes you feel comfortable with mediocrity. Thank you, Dan Martell. And then we have Janina Fisher. When the world is unsafe, remembering one's body and emotions means that we experience all subsequent worlds as unsafe, and our nervous systems, our little nervous systems, adapt to a dangerous world. Basil van der Kolk, the only way we can change the way we feel is by becoming aware of our inner experience and learning to befriend what is going on inside ourselves. So when you see anyone who is not trusting in humanity, they are the same ones who still have not understood the mental health, the neuroscience, the neurobiology. They have not understood that they are the ones who have had their faith in humanity broken. As Gary Vee points out, every minute you spend trying to cut someone else's tree down is a minute you spend not growing yours. And you build the tallest building in town by building it, not by tearing other people's buildings down. But as an enlightenment soul age group person, what I can tell you is that we have plenty who are in other soul age groups. And so they continue to learn about their self through that, which is others. Every subatomic particle in your system is in constant transaction with the whole cosmos. You only believe you are separate entities, said Guru. And there's another one that he shared about trust, and then I'll let you all go. But again, join us on TikTok for the lives, and join us at YouTube also for lives, even though I'll be doing different types of lives. And subscribe to the paid subscriber content. You'll help the channel grow, but you'll add to your daily 3-minute, 5-minute, and or 15-minute, again, inner growth mindset exercises, mindset readings, and mindset spotlights. So where I spotlight some podcasts, I get ideas from them, and then we talk about how you can contemplate thoughts and emotions, because again, that's the first step. And I will add throughout the year to the content, the masterclass. We might have a light version of that. And if you're wanting to join the masterclass, sign up. I have a sign-up sheet, workshops and retreats. And for our extended readings, those will be paid content, but we'll keep having our readings for the themes, as ascension energies are always about. So spiritual self-help, personal development is the focus, you being yourself. Here is said Guru, if your idea of trust is that others must behave as you expect, that is not trust, that is cunning. And in fact, you will notice mediocre people are all not trusting. So they're not only emotionally immature, they also only want love. Then they have an in and out group that they want you to take sides. They don't want to become self-empowered, enlightening, and get out of storyland. They follow people around who give them black and white, very limited, closed-minded stereotypes and thinking. So that's why the pseudo-intellectuals are very boring to a person like myself. As a pseudoscience person, for me, it's because I know who scientists are. And therefore, I know that any human being and any lecturer that makes it sound like they have complete certainty, like they are the authority and expert on it all, sure you are. Keep talking. You have biases, you have charges, you got a story. I'm going to hear about all your story. You're cut off from Purusha Prakriti. You're enamored with yourself, and you're a mind that is destructive because your adaptive child part is going to seep through every one of that storyline. So it's very clear for the prefrontal cortex person. Subjective experiences is what we have. We don't use effective realism, and that's whether you have a relationship with God, Source, Akash, Animal Mundi, as a channeler, downloader. So you don't need anybody to get expanded. What you need, first and foremost, is your body in connection, because you got a brain that is bilaterally, vertically, and overall integrated. And you own the sense of self, so you're a differentiated self. So when I'm present, I'm attuning to you and the entire room, because I'll differentiate. I won't get confused. I'll know exactly what Maria's nervous system was doing 1 minute ago. I know who I am because I have integrity, and I won't be influenced by the crowd. And I will witness a crowd. And you know what I do when I see a crowd of people who are mediocre, who are ignorant, and who are not only spiritual bypassers, Diego's family? That's the day where I will stand very proudly, as I have done this, and with a lot of sadness I will also stand, because in the meantime, wow, all these people who always are talking about how much they want to expand, and I'm doing this Buddhism, and I'm doing that yoga, and I'm doing this mystic, so I meet all these people who talk to me in different ways about their spiritual self-help journeys, because again, that's the topic. And they then talk to people about dark auras, energy vampires, demons, and evil in a way of, again, medieval times. Okay, so I'm presented, and more than one circumstance, but I'm thinking of one story to close us out on. And as I witness what is basically coward behavior, I'm 4'9". I can't do much because, not a big giant. But even if I were, it doesn't matter, because you getting in someone's faces when they're biologically rude, when they're in what is a mediocre mindset, with stereotypes, with generalizations. Okay, so I will tell you what poor quality. You can have all the riches in the world, whether you're dressed like a king, a queen, whatever it is. The minute I see that you're treating someone else like a little piece of shit, you're not a person that I'm going to value. You lack integrity. You lack it because you have low self-esteem, and your grandiosity, contempt, and your actual attitude is showing every single inch of your low frequency, which means you have double the work to do with a good therapist. And I don't need to do anything about it, but it's also because even if I bothered with it, you don't teach lack of self-aware, accountable, regulating people who are traumatized any kind of good manners, because they are convinced in their certainty of anger in their little brainstem that they are the self-righteous ones. And this is the one thing that a person who is a child of God will know. I don't need to do anything. And that's why I said, hey, God, I'm 19. There's no Lucifer. I see cowards all over the place. Because to me, I'll perceive I have a coward in front of me. Your frequency is not one that is high, and your heart may be as cold as ice. It's cold because the body's protecting you. And you've chosen the dark sides of neuroplasticity. So you're in shame, blame, fault, revenge. I have nothing to look up to or down to. I will respect you because I'm actually in the presence of a poor human being in front of me. I can't even disrespect you because I come with spirit, with God, which is where it would be an insult, and it would be that sin thing, I'd be casting a stone. So I can bring to you the spiritual aspect. As for sciences, I'll bring to you Peter Levine and Bezel van der Kolk and Stephen Porges and all the ones who taught me what happens to those first 3 years of life. I'll bring in my teacher, Sue Martin. as she's showing me, poor child, she says, what do you think it takes? And I can't do it because when she's doing it, I'm just holding myself like, oh my God, this is so painful. What does it take, she says, she does this, for a 3-year-old full of energy, that's that pure energy that Sadhguru talks about, Prakriti, and Purusha, again, pure consciousness, to be swiped out of the body of a child, something like that. And she starts banging her hand, but this stays still. And it's the no, 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 no. And I'm like, oh my God, and I'm just feeling for all of the 3-year-olds out there. And so when someone doesn't understand what happens when a poor child gets yelled at for playing Superman, but it's not just like I'm afraid you're going to get hurt. No, stop being stupid. Stop doing this. When people don't actually speak with respect to children, there is not that you don't have to say no. They're a child, they're human. And so anyways, I'm going to leave that alone. Point is, when you see people who are very much thinking that they are, it reminds me of Braveheart, the movie, when they're all cheering when he's getting tortured. That's not any way, shape, or form a person that I'm going to look at you don't have integrity. You don't know what values are. You don't know what raising a whole human herd with what is called the fairness and just. You're actually very ignorant. So people who continue to support savage mannerisms, and that's any imbalance, we all know who they are. You will treat Earth savage. You will treat humans savage. You will be, not you, but again, it's a very straightforward equation where anger is ill-placed. So any person who gets into their feels without noticing, calm down. You ain't the only one. There's 8 billion, and get your brain integrated, slow on. And so again, not hard for those who have humility, integrity, intelligence, and emotional, mental, and physical mastery to know what it takes for a species to become more of what we already have been evolving towards. The ones who are actually looking forward to going near a prison and cheering on for death sentence, yeah, I know who you are. I already know what's going to happen, and that's none of my business. So anyone who is praising and raising up and getting all in their angry little buttholes, from the spiritual perspective, it's a low frequency. While they want to use textbooks and they justify therefore their self-righteousness and their hurt, I know exactly where they could be healing it. But in the meantime, as I got to stand up for a person and more in ways that seem like nothing to me, my one question is this: did it make a difference? And the reality is no. Does it make a difference if a person doesn't choose to be their actual self? And so when I see those who don't love their inner child because they don't love being themselves, they didn't choose to go and get themselves into a therapist room and to wait, whatever it is. I did something that I can know. I stood up and I did what I feel was something to show all people, what are you doing? This is very, very poor behavior. And you are actually not better than the people you're pointing your fingers at. You are, if anything, actually a person who wants to go and look in the mirror, put your hand on your chest, and figure out that you just basically made it seem that you know how to judge someone else in a way that's an arrogant asshole. Anyone who has arrogance, you've never walked one day in the feet of anyone. So feeling that you have this self-righteousness is where you're dehumanizing another human. But this is that part of the brainstem and of what creates blindness, which is why once a person snaps out of it, they'll be like, oh shit, and here's where that shame and guilt, and there's your maladaptive pattern until you're shut out of it and you're in love with yourself and you got followers. And so when you got the ones who are enamored with themselves, they just got people following around. And so enlightenment, mysticism, and spirituality, the human way, it is not for mediocre people. No, they will not like to hear that we are all special and that their mannerisms are very, very not nice and not good manners. And in fact, they can have as much money as they want. Not only are they not living the highlight of their life, they are also actually the lowest of frequencies. They're just not monsters. They're people who could be 7 or 14, charming for the other ones who are going to follow them around with trauma charges. And as this story that Sadhguru shares, once they figure out that they've been doing everything, which is a vendetta, if they do, that's the other part. We don't wait till I don't look to people to see, did they realize what they've done? No, because one, a person who actually realizes what they've done, they will do this thing called conversation. So we'll be back with more again. Thanks for stopping by and join us. Have a good one.